Ticker symbol UTHR is up around 42% in the past year, and today we'll be looking at a high growth firm with huge potential as it has grown its revenue in the past year by over 25%, and currently it is undergoing high potential clinical studies. So today we'll be looking at United Therapeutics, a healthcare company. In their annual report, they state that their mission is to find a cure for pulmonary arterial hypertension, or PAH, and other life-threatening diseases. Now, just a fun fact, this is the first publicly traded pharmaceutical company to actually take the form of a benefit corporation. So a benefit corporation basically states that yes, they're here to try and make money, but it's not their only objective. So basically you can think of this as a hybrid between a private company, which is mainly focusing on increasing their profits, and a non-profit oriented organization. Now, their objectives that they have apart from profits are to develop novel pharmaceutical therapies, but the main one is to expand the availability of transplantable organs. So the main issue that they have spotted here is that whenever someone is in need of an organ transplant, it is extremely difficult to find an organ because, well, until now, you needed another human to donate that organ in order to be able to have a transplant. However, they're investigating this and they're actually finding great stuff. The main products that they have related to the treatment of the pulmonary hypertension disease, and they're currently involved in the testing of other 3 products, which are all in phase 3 studies, meaning that they could soon actually start being commercialized. Now, the thing that I said that had a high potential clinical studies is the fact that they have an area focused on studying xenotransplantation, which basically consists of developing organs in genetically modified pigs to be transferred later to humans. And you may find this extremely weird, as I did the first time I read this, but this could be a major breakthrough. What they have been able to do is that by changing the DNA of pigs, they have found a way to actually be able to have these genetically modified pigs as hosts for organs that are actually then able to be transplanted onto humans. And they have been doing the tests, and the way that they have discovered allows the organ to be transplanted without the human body actually rejecting it. I know this looks like a Black Mirror episode, but if this is successful, it could be a major breakthrough. And now, if this wasn't the only thing interesting about this company, their financial analysis is incredible. They have a 24% return on capital employed, a 20 times interest coverage ratio, an 80% cash conversion, a 90% profit margin, and an industry-leading 40% operating margin. We can see that this company is experiencing explosive growth. You can see that their revenues have been growing a lot since December 2022, and their net margin has actually been able to stay pretty consistent all the while, which is incredible, honestly. And as such, their efficiency ratios have been extremely consistent, and as such, their efficiency ratios have been rising consistently, with the return on invested capital sitting at around 30%. When we look at their leverage analysis, this company barely has any liabilities in comparison to their total assets, and I love seeing this. But when we look at their fundamental analysis, this company gets a very solid 6 out of 8 ticks. Starting off with their low liability risk, as we saw their interest coverage ratio is well above 10 times, so this is a clear tick. Now they have a very solid balance sheet, as they have very low liability, but they can pay all of their short-term liabilities only by using their current assets. Now, they provide extremely consistent cash flows, which are growing organically, and this is mainly being allowed due to their organic revenue growth. But one of the most important points in this slide, I believe, is their existing moat or competitive advantage. Now, they have been growing extremely quickly, and they have been developing very successful products because they have concentrated and localized all their knowledge into a very specific area of pharmaceutical. And by doing this, whenever they do some research, it's more like expanding on something that they already did in the past. Now, their main products that they have are key to treat PAH, and the thing is that there are not a lot of companies which have actually tried to develop products in this area. And the good thing about this is that since they have patents for their different products, it's basically like they're entitled to 100% of the profits that come out of this product sale. However, there are 2 things that I didn't quite like. The first one is that, of course, they don't pay any dividends, and their shares outstanding have actually been increasing. And the second one is the fact that I don't think that they have the greatest pricing power in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have pricing power. However, we do have to keep in mind that they're not only in this for the profits. They genuinely have an objective that is to improve the healthcare and the accessibility of these treatments. So while they could increase their prices by a lot, we have to consider that they might actually not want to do that. And in the past, they have actually been quite reluctant to use their pricing power at its fullest. But we do have to consider that without using all of their pricing power, they have still managed to grow their revenues at such a fast pace. Now, this company usually does not trade at a very hefty premium. They're currently trading at a PE ratio of around 15 times, which is on the high side when we compare it to the average of the past 3 to 4 years. Additionally, when we look at their free cash flow yield of 2.31%, this is lower than the long-term inflation rate of 3%, which may suggest that the company is trading at an overvalued price. And when we look at the risks and possible challenges, the main one, as with all healthcare and pharmaceutical companies, is the possible upcoming regulation changes, especially with the newly elected government, where it's not essentially that they have bad ideas, but that there is a lot of uncertainty surrounding the space. And number two is them actually not meeting performance objectives, because they currently have a lot of hype going on for their phase 3 clinical trials. But of course, all three of these could actually not succeed, and these products could never see market and could never be commercialized. Additionally, their xenotransplantation program may actually not reap all of the benefits that they're wanting it to do, because this has to go through extensive clinical studies, this has to be approved by a lot of different committees, and this will probably take a long time to actually develop before it actually starts to pay off. Now, before we move on, please remember that I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. However, I do believe that this company has a strong competitive advantage, it provides consistent and predictable cash flows, and it has a high return on capital employed. I do believe that this is a very good company and it may be a good investment, but it has such high future expectations that I believe it's more like a bet than a stable company that you could go for. Now, having said that, thank you for watching. As always, this has been the Cashflow Compounder. Join the free Patreon for extra content, and I'll see you in the next one.